What is going on, dudes and dudettes? So yes, you can see with that little clip right there, it was my mother's birthday yesterday. So once again, happy birthday, Mom. It was great going to downtown Disney. Haven't been there in a while. And yeah, it was really fun. Definitely a lot of good time hanging out with family and friends. It's always great. So yes, can't wait to do it again. Yes, let's get into a lot of news about USC. But yes, to start off with them, they did get a commitment the other day from a top Oregon prospect at the tight end position / wide receiver position. But he's in the class of 2024, so I believe he's just going into his junior year this fall. But he's already decided to commit to USC. They didn't really say if he was a 3, 4, 5-star player, but he has to have some talent and definitely already had gotten a scholarship offer from USC so early in advance. So it's also a good indication that maybe Lincoln Riley and his staff, the head coach of USC, will be staying, just because never really knew if he would officially stay as long as he even has been right now, just because, especially with that Dallas Cowboys job, it's always kind of been a thing that he's always been linked to, and he's never really said officially that's like his main goals, where he's heading to. I know he'll have more leeway and be in more control of his own whole entire team in college, kind of like how Nick Saban is in Alabama compared to when he went to Miami for like that half a year or whatever in the NFL. So I don't know if he'd want to go to, the main place where your owner is looming over you 24/7, Jerry Jones. But yeah, it's kind of looking good, at least for the future of USC, to still see these guys want to commit, because the coaches are telling them that they will be around. But of course, the coaches can change their mind. Anyways, even if they sign that big contract, it still doesn't mean crap. But yes, hopefully this is a positive thing for USC. Then Russell Westbrook recently put up his LA home or mansion up for sales, like almost $30 million. But it kind of got people wondering if maybe that's an indication that he is leaving or has officially asked to be traded or will be traded soon. And I don't know, it's a possibility, especially with some news coming out from The Athletic saying that the Lakers and Jazz, are still in talks and negotiations to maybe work out a deal involving Russell Westbrook and Bojan Bogdanovic, who is one of their better veteran players still on the roster. He is there only for 1 year. I've done a couple mock drafts with them to be able to get to the Lakers. And yeah, if you include Westbrook in there, that's cool. But it just would suck if the Jazz kind of want both of the first-round picks. The Lakers will likely throw in one of the first-round picks, but not both. And especially if they just get back veterans like a Mike Conley Jr., to be able to match salaries, and also like a Jordan Clarkson, something like that. You might have to throw in Kendrick Nunn to make those contracts work from the Lakers, but I don't know, to give both the first round picks as well. It's be kind of tough, and especially because Conley Jr. and Clarkson's contract go into next summer's money as well, which they don't want to do. So it could be a tough thing. They could also send those guys at the trade deadline this year as well to somewhere else to get something else. Get someone else who's on a 1-year deal. You never know, but yeah, him putting his house up for sale kind of is raising some eyebrows, but you never know. It might be doing it because he was told that the housing market's going to go down once again. You never know. Then USC's wide receiver Brendan Rice, yes, Jerry Rice's son, recently signed an NIL deal, so now he will be making money while in college. He did sign with these two companies. They're pretty much the same thing, called Money Lion and INFLCR. I think I mentioned that second one before. I never really knew what they were, but it is kind of like I think it's through the Boulevard as well, so it is going to help them be able to still make money, not do any mistakes or take any money under the table and then get in trouble later, whether it's taxes or even getting the school in trouble. So it is like pretty much a money stability type of programs and softwares to be able to help them out, and if they're going to make money off of it, promoting it, then might as well just do it. So congrats to Brendan Rice and his NIL deal. Then, as I mentioned in the last video, that the Chargers did release their D-tackle Brendan Fehoko, but he did go through waivers unclaimed, and they did re-sign him to the practice squad. So good thing to keep him there. It's kind of funny that they still keep that, like they put up Covington and they're keeping Fehoko really bad, but yet they still have Tillery on their team when they know they can't release him because he will get picked up, but for some reason they still can't trade him because no one's willing to take the bite unless the Chargers are just asking for too much to trade for him. But if they just even get a 7th round pick, I still think that's better than nothing. So I think that's what they should do, but we'll see. And then, yes, we did pretty much hear the news that Keenan Allen is going to be out tonight against the Chiefs. Not that surprising. They just played on Sunday, and it's only been pretty much 3.5 days, so it's pretty obvious he was going to be missing today's game. So not that worried. I think the Chiefs are missing one of their cornerbacks as well. So it's kind of even, I guess you can say. And then also we did find out that J.C. Jackson, well, it's not official yet. I know Staley, the head coach, has been saying that he wants him to still go through a practice and everything right before the game just to make sure he's good. And he did put on social media today that can't wait for everybody to see this, or welcome to Jackson Island or something like that. So it's kind of indicating that he will be playing. So hopefully that is the case, and it gives Chargers a little bit of a head addition on defense to be able to help out against Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, overall, this game could be really good or it's going to be really crappy for the Chargers. That's all I will say. But yes, hoping for the best. And then, of course, speaking of that, first Amazon Prime game officially. There were a couple games they put on there the last couple weeks in preseason, but this is the first official game with the new team, Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. One from ex-NBC, the other one from that's still doing college, but they have him doing NFL now. It's kind of weird, but I still like this grouping, so we'll see how it goes, and hopefully it is a positive thing for the Chargers in the end, because once again, back-to-back division games, so you got to get most of these divisional games in victories. Then when it comes to both ex-USC players, Lendell White and Sean Cody, apparently they are working with that company Boulevard I mentioned before that kind of helps USC players and athletes get those NIL deals, and they're going to be ambassadors. And of course, reading both stories, it said they didn't know officially what they will be doing with the company, but maybe it is to help promote it and get other guys involved in that program to be able to get more NIL deals and stuff. So we'll see how it goes. Could be interesting, but yeah, very cool to have some of the legends of USC back on, campus to help out with that stuff. It's pretty cool. Then both Caleb Williams and Tuli Tuipulotu were both named Pac-12 offensive and defensive players of the week last week in their game against Stanford. Of course, I forgot to put that up in the last video, but wanted to get it mentioned here real quick so you all know. And then when it comes to more USC stuff, yes, there was this week 3 Heisman hot board from On3, I believe it was, and of course 2 USC players that they have on there are both Caleb Williams and Jordan Addison, especially because of how great that Stanford game was for them stat-wise. And the hype is just continuing to grow with them. Hopefully it does continue, and we'll see. The offense hasn't really been challenged, but we'll see how it goes this weekend against Fresno State, who always plays USC well for some reason. Then when it comes to via CBS, they have USC football projected to go to the Cotton Bowl, so pretty much everyone assumes Utah is going to beat USC and they're destined for the Cotton Bowl, because I think the last time I talked about them being projected in this New Year's Six thing, they were still there in the Cotton Bowl, but this time they're facing Marshall, who just had that big victory against Notre Dame, which is kind of surprising because they're barely ranked in the top 25, and to get to this point they would probably have to go undefeated anyway, so it's going to be a tough task for Marshall, but a lot of good teams up there to be able to have USC face, and maybe USC could have, a rematch with Michigan depending on how good Ohio State is, but one of those teams will be in the Rose Bowl, depending if the Rose Bowl is not part of the Final Four, because if that happens, then there is no Big Ten versus Pac-12 matchup, technically. It moves to somewhere else, which is kind of weird. Then according to ESPN, USC is pretty much has the best and number 1 ranked offensive efficiency. So I guess, completion percentage and yards per attempt and all this stuff. So according to ESPN, they are number one, which is awesome. And then, of course, the Fox Sports, they did show the stat that they are tied. They're in a three-way tie. I forget what the other one. I think Michigan's another school, whoever it is, at 53.5 points per game so far to start the year. It's really good. You always average high points, and it's just kind of funny because there's only like two well-known schools in that top 5 list, Michigan and USC, and the other schools are pretty crappy ones, but all the other better schools will average out and be up there anyways. But as of right now, it is USC, which is pretty awesome. And then when it comes to a college football top 10 ranking of players, USC has 2 players on that list. They have Caleb Williams, the quarterback, at number 2 at like a 99 percentile, and then the wide receiver Jordan Addison is ranked at number 4 in the 99 percentile rating area as well. So that's really cool, especially pretty much more for analytics and stuff. But when it comes to USC being top 5 or top 10, I gotta mention it and give them their props because it is a pretty cool thing. And then, yes, to finish this video off, there's a lot of good USC performances in the NFL this last weekend. A lot of great stuff to see, a lot of cool highlights, but I'm not going to put the highlights, just talk about the guys and their stats real quick. So Michael Pittman Jr. of the Colts, the wide receiver, he just had 9 receptions for 121 yards and a touchdown. So that was a really awesome performance, even though his team ended with a tie with Houston. But I don't know how that happened, but yes, he still had a great game, so congrats to him. And then Talanoa Hufanga, who obviously is a guy that fell in the draft and was considered a really good player, but for some reason didn't test well, and San Francisco picked him up, like I think a 4th or 5th round pick, and it took him a bit. He was always kind of lower on the roster, and now he finally got his start against the Bears, and he went off. I thought he had more tackles than 11 total tackles, 9 solo tackles. He even had an interception as well, a couple passes deflected. But it's just crazy because either he was helping out on a tackle or you saw him pretty much going in on the pile in the end. So he was all over the place in that game. He played with his hair on fire, as they say. But yeah, it could be also a contract year, but I think he's definitely finally understanding the NFL game, and it's slowing down for him, and that's why he had such a great performance. But we'll see if he can continue it against the Seattle Seahawks. And then Juju Smith-Schuster in his debut with the Chiefs had 6 receptions for 79 yards. It's really nice, especially because he's had a couple down years, past couple in Pittsburgh, so it was a nice bounce back for him. He didn't score a touchdown, but he does look like they're definitely number 1 wide receiver and their second offensive option. So congrats to Juju. Then when it comes to Drake London, the rookie wide receiver with Atlanta, he only had 5 receptions for 74 yards, so that's pretty good. I'm pretty sure it was just one big play that got him most of the yardage, but at least he did get more receptions and stuff than their top pick last year, Kyle Pitts. So he's becoming a pretty good, solid receiver for the Falcons so far. And then Uchenna Nwosu, who was with the Chargers when he got drafted the past couple years, but was also an ex-USC player. He did end up getting the NFC Defensive Player of the Week for his performance in Monday Night Football against the Denver Broncos, so congrats to him. Would have been awesome to be able to keep that type of talented player on the roster for the Chargers, but it probably would have been too much money, and you pretty much upgraded from him to Khalil Mack. In my opinion, you're paying a little bit more for him as well, but it would have been tough to keep all those guys on because they pretty much played all the same position, including him and Bosa as well. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, I saved him for last because he made history with a lot of his stuff. So he finished the day with 8 receptions for 64 yards and a touchdown, which is really solid for a receiver, especially a guy going into his second year. But all it did was just boost his stats a lot. So he's either like tied for first, maybe tied for second or third in the team's history for these stats. But it was the 5th straight game with 8+ receptions and a touchdown in the same game. So he's on that history point. And then with another record, he had 8+ receptions in 7 straight games. So that's a separate record for the Detroit Lions. And then it was also the 5th straight game that included a receiving touchdown as well. So that's just the type of history this guy is already making. He was a 4th round pick. I wanted the Chargers to select him in the 2nd or 3rd round. They didn't listen to me. And of course, this is what happens. But yes, he's definitely playing very well to start this year off and just continuing what he did at the end of last year when he was a monster going down the stretch for the Lions, getting all those stats. But yeah, it's really awesome to see for him. And I'm pretty sure I didn't have to look up who the #1 receiving stats that he could be tied with or is behind on that list. I'm pretty sure it's Megatron Calvin Johnson with the Detroit Lions. But overall, if you're in that kind of company and that history, it's just freaking awesome. Can't wait to see what his future entails. And it could be with Detroit because they took a chance on him. He'll resign, but you never know. Could come back home to LA with the Chargers. So yes, thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. I slipped up right there because I did want to say that I was waiting to do this video till later, but this video will go up a little bit after 2 once this player, Sam Green, a defensive lineman, 4-star player, decides where he's going to go for college next year in 2023. He is most likely to pick USC according to a lot of experts and reporters. So if he does, I will add it as a tag to the end of this video, and if not, then you already know what happened. So yes, like I said, thanks for watching, and yeah, it's pretty cool pickup my girlfriend found. Look at this at the dollar store. It's a big old S, and it has, you know, Marvel characters, and then it has DC characters. So a couple more nerdy things to put up behind me, and both were only $1. So how can you not go with that bargain? So like I said, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and good luck to the Chargers tonight. Woo!